People often think that you need to learn something in order to have the knowledge of whatever it is you're trying to do. Um, I'm here to say that there's another way to obtain the same knowledge and vast amounts of more knowledge on the latitude of communication in all form. A way to tap into knowledge. And to do this, you have to know, and knowing itself, knowing makes you knowledgeable. If you know internally 100% that you can know something just by knowing, you begin to start gathering that knowledge, and eventually it adds up to the truth. But through the process of of going from knowing to create knowledge, or to understand knowledge, you have to understand the process of it. And life is a process of remembrance. It's not, you don't, no one comes up with something new, like an invention. It's really just something internally, something that already existed, that you're remembering. And that's what an invention is. That's what something that's new is. And so, the more internally you accept who you are, when you really start knowing, is a difference between learning these with the mentality. You first have to break down the barriers of your conditioned mind, and once you get rid of the conditioned mind, your mind begins to expand, and you begin to awaken, and eventually, when you become a fish out of water. I mean, there's a reason that that religious symbols are a fish. I mean, well, there's so many truths in the Bible, but that you can interpret. For example, how to prove life would be a process of remembrance is in the Bible. It said, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end." In order to have that, it must have already been created. So everything that's already been created in this universal cycle, this in particular one, has already happened, and we're just remembering it. And that's what life is. We forget when we come down from where we come from, and it's part of a whole universal cycle, and eventually it connects all as one. And when it does, another cycle begins, and it's a different type of cycle on a different level. But in this process, we're here to learn a lot of things in order to get that singularity between everything else. Anyways, so knowing creates knowledge, and you begin to understand universal truths, what's the truth behind technologies, and really consciousness is what it is. Consciousness creates reality, and thus reality that we see changes, and the change is actually physical on the other. So like you the consciousness that creates reality is the reality that you see, but that reality that you see is real. It's not a lie. But when you begin to escape from the herd, and you you think differently. You might think that, oh well, that's not true because it's just me and no one else. But what people fail to realize is, the more you accept that, the more you begin to see what's real and what's not, and eventually that manifestation starts to create for like that. It's really good for coming up with business ideas. You come up with an idea, then you have the intent, and that intent you want to manifest. So in your mind, you want to draw your idea towards you, how to whatever it is you're trying to create. Even if you don't know how to do it, you can still accomplish it by manifesting it, and you have to know the process of it. And this is the whole process of innovation. But that's all for another video. But there's an actual recipe for innovation, and you don't have to be like a super genius to do it. You just have to understand how the laws of the universe works, and with consciousness, and how it manifests in the mind, and how reality around us changes with those manifestations into you actually making that idea into a reality. There's a whole series on that. That can be 50 episodes alone as a minimum. There's so much knowledge once you begin to see, and when you begin to see, and you have the gift of tapping into knowledge. It's a gift, but it's also a curse. If you don't know how to shut it down, you want to calm your mind down, and you don't know what to do. But you want to embrace what you're experiencing, because the more that you fight it, the worse that you feel, and it doesn't get better by fighting anything. We really, it's pointless to fight anything. It's better to just accept and embrace what you're experiencing, because once you do, that absorbs that energy, and it changes it in you, because it becomes part of acceptance. So then that fades away, and you're able to grow more, because you're letting go of that negative energy, or whatever you want to call it, negative energy, or just energy that's used. And really, you can see life in a much grander way when you begin to see who you truly are. And that is those words that are in the Bible of I am that I am. Once you experience this true remembrance of who you are consciously, you begin to see the reality. And when you do, you don't ever have to look at it again. And just life begins to change. You begin to experience many truths. I'm the owner of a company, Moke One LLC. It's not yet established, but I know what it's going to be, and you can find it on Facebook or Instagram. And there is but it has to do with knowledge. This is just my personal channel. And this channel isn't about becoming rich on YouTube or anything like that. It's just to share some knowledge that I have. I have limitless access to it. There's so much that I could share, but that's what my company is going to be doing partially with other companies, is be sharing, helping them, developing new technologies and innovation and ways of thinking and everything that from A to Z, basically anything. You can tap into anything, so it really, whatever the needs are, as a business service to other businesses or other groups or other organizations, and like nonprofits and stuff, and etc. Individuals, because part of what it'll be is access for everyone to see, and there'll be a different section of it. So anyways, yes, that's where it begins. You have to know in order to become knowledgeable, and when you do, you don't really need to learn anything again. But yeah, it's helpful to see things that you can validate the truth by looking it up or whatever. And when you do, it might freak you out because you're actually saying the truth, because you've changed the way you're thinking, and it's thinking differently. But first, you have to get rid of that conditioned mind. It's what Eckhart Tolle talks about in spirituality, and letting go of the ego, etc., etc. And you have to, and then your mind expands and you see it differently. But it's kind of hard to accept. Your primal part of your mind doesn't want to accept that, and it fights, and you feel pain, and you just have to accept and let it go and embrace it. And then you're living that truth, or the way, that's what they say in the Tao. Anyways, this is going to be the end of this video. I hope it can be helpful to someone. Have a good one.